All right, I have 2 p.m. on my watch over here. So, with that, let's kick off. Welcome, everybody. My name's Danielle Rand. I'm a channel marketing strategist here at Braincube. And I just want to welcome you all to our inaugural product peek here at Braincube. Today, we're going to do a quick walkthrough of the platform with your host, Kurt Peterson, a sales engineer here at Braincube. And if you have any questions, we will be reserving around 5 minutes at the end to answer your questions in real time. So please feel free to drop them into the chat here on the WebEx. With that, I'll hand it over to Kurt.
All righty, Danielle, thank you. So, yeah, this is our product peek. And what we're really going to focus on within these product peeks is just giving a little taste, a little tease of different parts of the Braincube platform so that everyone can get kind of an understanding and then maybe the conversation go on from there. Today, what we're going to focus on is kind of a customer story focused around visibility of process data within the environment. So, for this customer, we met them about a year and a half ago now. And what this drywall manufacturer was looking to do, they were already an advanced manufacturing company, right? They had lots of technology, they had Historian, MES, IoT, they had a bunch of process engineers working to do optimizations. They had a lot of tools going for them, but they were still challenged to make all of that data, all of that information into something actionable for the manufacturing team. So they were looking to level up and take their operations to the next manufacturing excellence level. And that's where we come in. So Braincube is, at its core, a process analytics tool and operationalization of the entire network of manufacturing and fabrication with itself. So what Braincube really focuses on is aligning the different streams of material data, so the physical flow of material with the information flow. We were started by a couple of engineers frustrated by the challenges that they were encountering in their environment about 15 years ago and have since worked in, kind of bloomed all over the globe, working in a lot of different areas, but most commonly focusing on complicated, uh, you know, continuous stream processes that are very hard to uncover what true root cause is. So if we're going to bucket a couple of different ways that Braincube helps engineers, we can kind of visualize it like this. So visualize, stabilize, and optimize. This is kind of the engineering process as we go through it. So we're going to focus today on visualize because it's kind of the start of the journey. So in today's manufacturing environments, it's very difficult to visualize accurately. It's maybe I should say it's easy to visualize, but is that visualization worth anything? So getting the right information to the right people at the right time is a challenge for a lot of companies. Once you've kind of taken a swing at that, BrainQ can help you stabilize your operations and bring them into more consistent modes. And after you get consistent, you have that under your toolkit, then you can really look to dial in and optimize. So that's kind of the full line process that we focus on. And like I said, today we're going to focus on the visualize piece. So, what was this manufacturing company really challenged by, right? So, uh, essentially, what this drywall manufacturing company was looking to do was to, improve their productivity, reduce downtime events. Like on this particular piece of equipment, they were experiencing a lot of paper breaks, meaning that paper that the slurry is writing on would commonly break, and that would cause a huge kind of, plant-wide emergency. Everybody's got to drop what they're doing, come over to fix this, and then get production restarted again because it's very expensive. So they were trying to figure out what causes paper breaks and how do we do that. So the process engineers were really stymied because they had so many different information sources. Every time they wanted to ask a question of their data, they had to do all of this whole exercise, a lot of data wrangling. They had to, pull out Minitab, get a bunch of Excel sheets going, look in two or three different systems. And it's all that means is it's very time consuming. Their operators, operators bring a lot of experience to the table and we want to use that. But operators are challenged because experiential data only goes so far. If if I lick my finger and turn this knob and hit my wrench twice on a Tuesday, then the plant will run fine. That sometimes works, but not enough to be repeatable. It's not truly empirical. So the operators really didn't have any data running on their side. So the total problem was as this company wanted to make incremental improvements to stay competitive, to get more productive, to save on waste, they couldn't really do this quick enough because their process for engineering improvement was so cumbersome and time consuming. So where does Braincube come into that? So the first kind of secret sauce of Braincube is our digital twin. Now this is the data foundation that is built on the Braincube platform that allows you to remove a lot of that extraneous work and manual effort around your data cleansing, around your data wrangling, to really, you build that foundation so you can build all the scaffolding on top of it much quicker and much easier. What the digital twin is at a very high level is mirroring the physical flow of the process. So in this case, drywall. We're going to mirror the physical flow of the process with the information flow. So we're going to create that digital twin, which is a facsimile of your actual manufacturing process. Now that you've got that, now you can do your own self-service analytics. Now you can do your own, kind of interrogation of the data, and you don't have to do any more data wrangling. You don't have to do any more curation. So what was the drywall, manufacturing company's journey? We sent our consultant team and our data architects actually out on site so that they could build a digital twin that is accurate. Every plant's going to be a little bit different. We have modularity. We can copy and paste a lot of different processes, but every plant's going to be a little unique. Every plant's going to have, different equipment from different ages, different software systems. So we do need to apply a little bit of artisanal curation to every digital twin build that we do. Now, once that's done and we enter the run phase, now you just flip the digital twin on and you're rolling. That's now that all that hard work is done, we can just reap the benefits. So the company, it was a couple weeks for the digital twin workshop, a couple weeks for the digital twin build. Then the run phase lasted a couple months. Now this run phase is where we just look to understand the dynamics. We're just trying to understand, right? It's like we've put on glasses now and we can see the world a little bit more clearly, but we need to kind of get our bearings before we move on from that. Then we get to the exciting part of the process. So once we start iterating and experimenting, now we can start to really fine tune the process in a very number of specific ways to get to those optimization standpoints. So what were some of the results? Now remember, we started working with this company probably a year and a half ago, but so most of these we were able to realize within 6 to 9 months. So those paper breaks that we talked about earlier, they went from having 10 a month to having 3. So over a 2/3 reduction in paper breaks. Now, how we got there was looking at historical instances of paper breaks and being able to understand the true root cause of them and prevent that. But that alone would have probably been worthwhile just to implement Braincube to do that. But it kind of goes on from there. They also were able to increase their line speed. We proved to them that they could run some products quicker than others. So for those product grades, they were able to up their line speed and get more product out the door. Their quality managers. So this is an interesting one. So part of Braincube's offering is giving prescriptive instructions to the operators, and we'll see that a little bit later in the demo. The quality managers can not only deliver those prescriptive instructions to the operators, but they can also measure how often the operators are complying to this. So now this is huge, and this really changes the dynamic because what it means is that you can take a brand new operator and stick them out on the floor, give them the instructions that they need to succeed, and then measure their accountability to it, right? It's really bringing that full loop closed to actually see, are my analytical insights actually performing on the shop floor? Then the last thing we were able to help them do was save on some raw materials. So we don't want to make drywall that is bulletproof. We want to make strong and really high grade drywall, but we don't need it. We don't need to waste anything while we make it. So we help this customer by showing them exactly in their process how much raw materials they need to use in order to still pass their quality checks, but nothing more than that. So that is kind of the story that we're going to look at. And I want to show some of the platform, and I want to show you a couple of different visualization techniques or tools that are really focused on three of the major stakeholders that Braincube works with. So we're going to look at what process engineers think visualization is, what operators view visualization as from a Braincube standpoint, and also what management does. So we will start in the process engineer realm. So the core of Braincube charting, which is the module that I'm in right now, kind of looks like a time series trending tool on the onset. But remember that everything within the Braincube platform is built on the digital twin. So because it's built on the digital twin, what you're going to see is that I'm really easily and quickly able to filter, cleanse, and study my data from different angles so that I don't have to do all this data wrangling. I can get to the answers to my questions much quicker. So let's go ahead. Right now, I'm trending a yield um, variable. So that's cool. I might see this if I wanted to, throw on an average for that to see that a little bit more clearly. I can do that. One of the great things about the digital twin is that it's incorporating data points from many different systems. So this yield could be coming from my MES, but what if I wanted to see this yield in relation to, say, some temperature variable? Now, this temperature variable is coming from historians. So I've just, kind of with a click, looked at a bunch of different, I can look at anything within the digital twin and see its relation to anything else within the digital twin. So this is hugely powerful, not having to export anything so I can see both process historian variables next to MES, next to quality variables, very impactful. I also might want to filter my data in a couple of different ways. So if we go ahead and take a look at a Braincube filtering, what we can do is we can limit our study based off of a lot of different conditions. So say if I knew for that temperature value, I only wanted to examine the yield metric from a certain temperature value. So I'm basically limiting my study here. I also know that I've flagged some events in the digital twin. So I also know that there are some events in the past here where, something's failed, there's a downtime event. I want to remove that data from my study because it's extraneous. It doesn't apply to the production reality that I want to see. So I'm going to go ahead and exclude that with a filter. The last one I want to do, maybe, a lot of our customers run a lot of different product grades on one line. So I might be interested in my yield, but I only want it for maybe the first two product codes, but not the third one. So I'm going to also only filter for those two. When I go ahead and apply that, I'm going to hide our temperature value here. Now I'm actually looking at my data set that I'm interested in. I'm going to smooth this out by moving from a time plot because I've got these gaps because of my filters that I applied. So I'm going to smooth this out with an index plot, and now I've got some sort of graph and visualization that is important to me to understand. I've filtered it for exactly the data I need, and it took me all of 2 minutes. Didn't take me half a day to gather this information. Huge efficiency gains from the engineering team using this tool. From here, I could add this to a dashboard. I could export this, share it, send it to my coworker to say, hey, this looks interesting. Please check out this. I could initiate an analysis directly from this chart. So tons of value within this charting module, and it's really just the tip of the iceberg in terms of visualization. Moving right along, we can bake a bunch of those different charts into dashboards. So our customers use these dashboards to run their morning meetings, to inform their operators what they should be paying attention to. Lots of different ways to package those charts up and use them as a daily tool to understand and keep a focus on what's important in your environment. Another really interesting thing that drywall company did, they make different grades of product and they have very different quality and production recipes for all of those different grades. What we were able to do is implement what we call production standards, basically a dynamic recipe that will, when the plant makes these different grades, it will automatically adjust, these SPC charts, which are directly coming from the analysis module in Braincube. And so that the plant is always, no matter what it's running at every time, it's given the exact and accurate data that they need to run. So streaming right along, almost at the end here, what do the operators see? So remember, the operators were really being challenged by getting accurate data sent directly to them. Excuse me. Braincube Live is a really easy way to boil down the information to only the relevant pieces. So Braincube Live is essentially also drawing on the rich analytics module that Braincube offers, but it's distilling that information for the eyes, excuse me, distilling that information for the eyes of the operator. So what the operator sees is only the important variables that they need to control, and they are assured that if they meet the conditions of these dials, right, out of spec, in spec, they can achieve their goal, whatever their goal is, quality, throughput. It's basically a prescriptive instruction to give exactly the information needed to achieve the goal. And this is what we can measure compliance off of. If I look on a 4 hour period or a 24-hour period, I can see whether or not my operators are meeting the goals that I've set. So we can close the loop and give accountability to the process. Then the last way that we can, excuse me, man, got a cold today. The last way that we can bring visibility to the factory is through dashboarding. Now, a lot of our customers will use tools like this to do site-by-site comparisons. This particular one is built to monitor energy. And all that I want to impress when we show this is that we have a lot of different, let's call it prettier UIs, more dynamic, more pretty, more dynamic, more interesting. We can generate reports from this dashboard. Basically, it's there to give the management very quick and collected information so that they can really plan a direction, right? I can see this information is going here. This energy use from that week is up or down or whatever it is. So essentially, it's another way to use the digital twin data to drive actionable insights. So we covered a ton in that. We went and looked at process tools and data wrangling. We looked at operator prescriptive instructions driven by analytics. We also looked at dashboarding and plant-to-plant comparisons. A lot there, but really the end of the story is you need to know what you're looking at before you can really solve it. And that is the first product peak. Danielle, how'd we do?
Thank you, Kurt. Also, bless you.
Yeah, suffering.
Um, we have a few questions. I know we're 2 minutes over time, but I do think getting to these quickly would be nice for our audience. So the first one, it would seem as though your solution gets the engineer back to its main point of value, which is to characterize variance. Can you tell me a little bit about the feedback you typically receive from process engineers in the realm of saved time for daily stand-ups or saved time for root cause analysis when using Braincube?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. So typically what we see with process engineers is they take a look at these tools and they take a look at our charting module and they kind of jump out of their seats at what we think is simple functions, but they see so much value in terms of hours and hours out of their day and out of their week. This paradigm of doing things, this platform is a much simpler way to do analysis than any other of the tools, right? We're talking about a single place, single screen. You don't have to go between software package to software package. It allows them to focus on the question they want to answer, not how do I collect all of my ducks so that I can put them into a row. So there's a huge amount of value to getting the most out of your engineers and letting and not having them basically be data scientists at the end of the day. Great question.
Thank you. Another question we had was, where do your customers start when they come to you in terms of visualizing, stabilizing versus optimizing their processes?
Yeah, that's another great one too. And the honest answer is there's many different starting points. Some companies have zero visibility and we need to start at a very basic, let's put up some real-time dashboards. Let's get your quality and process teams together. And other companies are a little bit further forward, but they might do a little bit of stabilization and then loop back to visualize before they can do anything. So, man, I am suffering.
Bless you.
The hard answer is there's no real answer, but what we found in our experience is that no matter where you're at in your digital maturity, we're able to either elevate what you're doing currently or be able to fill in some of the gaps for what you need to be able to do.
And then last question, how long does it typically take to implement Braincube?
Yeah, so again, that's a little bit of a dependent, but I would say what is typical is that we will spend about a month of planning and connectivity, about a month and a half to 2 months of actual building the digital twin with your team, and then call it 2 to 3 months of runtime as we look to validate, as we look to understand the dynamics of the process before you can get to optimizing. So for different companies, it's around that, talk about a couple months to 6 months before you're really rolling, you're really cranking. And in that, of course, we have training, we have enablement. There's a lot that goes into that process, but that's a roundabout answer, I would say.
Great, thank you, Kurt. And I think with that, if there's no other questions, I don't think I see any in the chat. We can wrap up our first product peek here at Braincube. We will be sending out the recording of this presentation, and you can catch us for the next one, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on February 29th, where we'll dig into another one of our process pillars. Thank you again, Kurt, and thank you everyone for attending. Have a great rest of your day.
Take care.